You'd think being bigger and stronger is always an upgrade, right? Well, think again. In the quiet halls of the Blood Angels Fortress Monastery, a lone Primaris Sanguinary guard stands before a grand mirror. His polished, yet noticeably less intricate armor catches the dim light. He tilts his head, wings noticeably absent, pondering his so-called upgrade. Though blessed with superior size and strength, our Primaris friend seems to be facing an existential crisis. He runs a gauntleted hand over his chest plate, frowning. This isn't quite what I expected, he mutters, eyeing the golden sheen of his firstborn brother's armor in the distance. Where are my glorious wings, my shining plates? I look like a giant golden refrigerator. He flexes, hoping for a sense of grandeur. Nothing. The realization sinks in. Perhaps, dear viewer, bigger is not always better, especially when one's predecessors sparkle like the Emperor's own jewelry box. On the tumultuous battlefield, we encounter a peculiar dynamic. A black Templar initiate and his neophyte, a true study in mentorship. The initiate stands tall, his ceramite armor gleaming, casting a fatherly gaze upon his young neophyte. Notice the pride in his stance, as though he were watching a son take his first steps, or in this case making a nuisance on the battlefield. The neophyte, full of youthful zeal, charges headfirst into battle, bolter firing wildly. He's not so much aiming as he is expressing enthusiasm. The initiate watches on, helmet tilted slightly in what can only be described as fatherly approval. He doesn't intervene, even as the neophyte's shots go far wide, startling a flock of grots that collectively honk in alarm. But it's the effort that counts. Indeed, the initiate stands back, arms crossed, clearly thinking, he'll learn eventually. For now, let him have his fun. Picture this, a bomb, but make it cute. Introducing the Bomb Squig. In the chaotic world of the orcs, we stumble upon a creature that's part puppy, part dynamite, the Bomb Squig. This little guy trots along, tail wagging like it's auditioning for cutest critter of the year. Despite being packed with enough explosives to level an outpost, all it seems to want is some good old-fashioned affection. Just look at it bounce toward its orc handler, who gives it a pat on the head. You'd think it's a pet begging for treats, not a walking firework. As it waddles towards a group of Imperial guardsmen, its eyes sparkle with excitement, blissfully unaware of the chaos it's about to unleash. The guardsmen, they retreat in horror, but our Bomb Squig just wants to play, and then, boom! A cuddly explosion. In the world of orcs, even the bombs just want a hug. Now, that's one way to go out with a bang. Here we see a Carnifex lumbering towards its prey, an unfortunate squad of Imperial guardsmen. With legs like tree trunks and claws sharper than a commissar's wit, it charges with the grace of a runaway train, truly a sight to behold if you're at least 20 miles away. The guardsmen scatter, though it seems one is frozen in place. Oh wait, no, he's just tripped over his own lasgun. Remarkably, the Carnifex pays no attention, stepping right over him, clearly distracted by a nearby Lehman Russ tank. Look at that. It's smashing into it with all the enthusiasm of a cat with a new toy. Quite endearing, really. And there it goes, leaving behind devastation, and one very lucky guardsman who might need a change of trousers. Such is the way of nature in the 41st millennium. Behold the Chaos Cultist, a creature of fanatic devotion and, more often than not, spectacular incompetence. Here we see one such zealot eager to impress his Chaos Lord. In the shadow of a dark altar, the cultist proudly presents his handiwork, a crude idol to the blood god fashioned from sticks, skulls, and what appears to be a cafeteria tray. His Chaos Lord looms above, visibly unimpressed. Undeterred, the cultist begins chanting a summoning ritual, only to fumble the words. Instead of calling forth a demonic ally, he summons a small, screeching Nurglite insect. Panic ensues as the insect chases the cultist in circles. Despite his failure, the cultist remains undaunted. "Next time, my lord, it'll be even bloodier," he exclaims. For the ruinous powers, enthusiasm is everything, even if competence is lacking. In the war-torn 41st millennium, we encounter a curious creature. Brother Azraelus, a seasoned firstborn Dark Angel Space Marine, now joined by fresh Primaris recruits, they ask harmless questions about armor maintenance or nutrient paste flavors, while Azraelus clutches every trivial detail like a sacred secret. "Tell us, brother," one Primaris asks, "what's the best way to clean bolt shells?" Azraelus freezes, His eyes narrow behind his helmet's visor. "That," he growls ominously, "is for me to know." Like a child guarding a toy from his younger sibling, Azraelus hoards his secrets, pretending even the simplest information is part of the Lion's great legacy. And so it becomes painfully clear that the real mystery isn't some ancient chapter secret, it's Azraelus's ridiculous, almost toddler-like refusal to share literally anything, as if cleaning a bolt gun were arcane knowledge beyond their mortal comprehension. Where the Alpha Legion operates, truth is as rare as trust. Observe now as we stumble upon a curious ritual among their ranks. A captured Inquisitor stands chained, his captors looming menacingly. "Which one of you is Alpharius?" he demands, his voice trembling with anger. A Marine steps forward. "I am Alpharius," he declares confidently. Another voice immediately rings out. "No, I am Alpharius." The first Marine glares. "No, you're not, Brother Kalon. I am Alpharius." A third voice chimes in from the back. "Don't listen to them. I am Alpharius." Suddenly, the entire squad erupts into a cacophony of identical declarations. "I am Alpharius. No, I am Alpharius. I'm Alpharius, and so's my servo skull." The Inquisitor, bewildered, slumps in his chains. "By the throne, I just wanted a straight answer." As the Marines continue bickering, it becomes clear, in the Alpha Legion, unity is absolute, even in absurdity. Observe now as Mekboy Botsnik, a self-proclaimed genius, embarks on his latest project, a ramshackle, heavily armed vehicle he proudly calls Das Smasher Wagon. Botsnik works with manic enthusiasm, slapping together spare parts, engines, and even what looks suspiciously like a washing machine. His Gretchen assistant, Snick, watches nervously as Botsnik jams a plasma reactor where it most certainly doesn't belong. "Is dat safe, boss?" Snick asks, trembling. "Safe? Safe's for humies. This'll go faster than anything." As Botsnik prepares for the maiden voyage, something goes terribly wrong. The Smasher Wagon revs up with a high-pitched whine, then promptly explodes in a dazzling, fiery spectacle, sending Botsnik flying. Undeterred, Botsnik dusts himself off, grinning wildly. "It went faster than I thought," he declares proudly. In the unforgiving expanse of the battlefield, we observe a rather remarkable creature, the Cthonian Beserk. Despite his diminutive stature, his anger is boundless. Here we see the Beserk, his eyes narrow, radiating judgment as though he's personally offended by the existence of everything in front of him. It's a wonder anything survives under such a death glare. Watch now as he charges, or rather, attempts to. With all the speed of an angry boulder, the Beserk lumbers forward, axe raised high above his head. However, his legs, short and stocky, are working against him. Despite his immense rage, he's, well, simply too short to make this anger feel truly threatening. His enemies look confused rather than terrified, glancing down at him as he closes the gap at a somewhat leisurely pace. It seems in the end that this angry little fellow might need longer legs or angrier boots. In the chaotic world of the Ork War, one figure stands out for his sheer unpredictability, the Weirdboy. Charged with War energy, he is both revered and feared by his fellow greenskins. Observe now as Weirdboy Zogbash prepares to unleash his psychic might. Surrounded by chanting orcs, Zogbash's eyes glow green as War. Energy crackles around him. His followers cheer, eager for destruction. But something isn't right. The energy builds too quickly and Zogbash begins to float, his body glowing like a neon fungus. "This might be a bit much, lads," he yells as the energy erupts in a blinding flash. When the smoke clears, Zogbash lies in a crater, his followers scattered across the battlefield like leaves. Dazed but delighted, he cackles, "That was a good un! Let's do it again!" For a Weirdboy, failure is just another step toward glory.